Welcome back, everybody, to the Playbook here on Boise Beat. Today, we're going to be going over the divisional round of the playoffs up into the conference championship, baby. Let's go. Well, as usual, I got my co-host with me. How you doing, Pops?
I'm doing good, son. This was a
Heck yeah,
crazy
there's some.
weekend, wasn't it?
It sure was. There was some games that kind of a little history repeating itself this last weekend, huh?
Oh yeah,
Packers taking out the Cowboys and then losing to the Niners. That's been the
yeah,
story the last few years. This Packers team did look a little bit different. Jordan Love coming in here, they did put up a good fight till the end, but some costly mistakes ended up, catching up to them.
That's what surprised me was they were able to run on the 49ers and shut down the 49ers run game, except for that big run by McCaffrey, that 35 or so yard run. Other than that,
Mhm.
they shut their running game down. The Packers did. I was surprised by that.
Yeah, I think they had this crazy stat about it'd been a few years since there had been a 100-yard rusher against the Niners. How crazy
Yeah,
is that?
yeah,
Yeah, and Aaron Jones had that rather early, to be honest. But the Packers did everything right that you could ask for in that game. The ways to beat the Niners. You want to beat them at their own game. You want to control the clock. You want to
yeah,
be able to run the ball, and you want to be able to play some clean football. Unfortunately, they had some a turnover to end the game and a missed field goal, which came back to bite them. And people are also talking about going for it on 4th and 1 in the first half instead of taking 3 points against a good team. And that 3 points would have tied it right there at the end of the game. Could have pushed it to overtime.
yeah. And then that missed field goal could have won it, but
Yep. There at the end.
special teams in the playoffs, they're so important. You got to have a good kicker. And a couple of teams that lost this weekend, they lost on field goals. So special teams in the playoffs, they get magnified.
Oh yeah, all the weaknesses of each team, you really see them. They start to show up right here in the playoffs.
Yeah.
Teams get exposed by those things. They turn up to be huge. I mean, Brock Purdy though, let's talk him because he had a rough start to this game, and with the rain
Yeah.
and everything, going back and forth with having the glove and not having the glove, struggled to find his way early, but when it mattered most, he got that drive to win the game. Took him all the way down the field. They ended up scoring and taking the lead, and that was
Yeah.
a big step right there for Brock Purdy.
Yeah, it was. They needed that. He needed it for his confidence. It'll be interesting to see. The Packers got a little bit in his face, but not like they need to. Whoever's going to
Mm,
beat the 49ers got to get right in Purdy's grill and make him work for it. Get him off the spot. Though he did have some good runs, just scrambles, but I mean, you have to play a mistake free game against the 49ers. Everybody knows that.
mm,
You can't have any mistakes against the 49ers because they'll make you pay for it. I'll tell you what,
absolutely.
Green Bay made those 49er fans put them on edge. I know a
They
few of
were
them.
they were nervous
They
there for a
were
bit.
pretty scared.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but let's talk Lions then. You think the Lions, after advancing, beating the Buccaneers, do you think they got what it takes to beat the Niners? I mean, we were talking about earlier the Jared Goff 0-5 in his last five against the Niners.
Yeah, a lot of those were with the Rams. Yeah, Jared Goff. I mean, well, let's talk about the Lions defense. I mean, they've given up the least amount they've given up in the last 5 games is 349, which was to Mayfield. Their defense cannot stop the pass. If they can stop the run and make Purdy become one dimensional, make the 49ers become one dimensional. And with Goff, it all comes down to no mistakes. You cannot have
Yep.
turnovers against 49ers. They'll make you pay. and they did a great job against. I got to give them credit. They did a really good job against the Buccaneers, but it still came down to last play of the game for the Buccaneers when they threw that interception. They might have took it overtime, but Mayfield had that one interception towards the end. The other interception he had, it went off of Evans's hands, so that doesn't really count. And they just didn't run well enough against them, or not enough. They had 15 rushes. Do you realize that? They're averaging almost
Mm.
5 yards a pop running it, but they only ran it 15 times.
Yeah, you see playoff time, staying disciplined to the run game. That's huge.
Yeah,
Not enough teams are doing that, but whoever usually can stay more disciplined with it and
yeah,
stick with it usually pulls out the win.
yep.
It's tough to
And
do it through the course of a long game, but
I
got
think
to.
if I think if their coach, Bucks coach Todd Bowles, had it do all over again, I'm sure he would have ran it a lot more and kept the Lions' offense off the field
Yeah,
a little more.
absolutely. You see him catch fire late in the game because they weren't looking so hot,
Yep.
early on, but they really caught fire later as the
Yeah.
game went on. And Goff's a rhythm quarterback. You can't really let him get into a rhythm early,
Yeah.
or at all. Keep him on his toes. Keep some pressure on him, but you cannot let him get into a rhythm because he will
Yep.
slice up your defense if he does.
Yep. If you can't get to him and move him off the spot, I mean, if you give Goff time, like any quarterback, really, he'll tear you up. And the 49ers do a really good job of getting after the quarterback. So it's going to come down to protection. Yeah, against the 49ers. But yeah, the Bucks, they played him good. I mean, nobody thought the Bucks were going to be there in the first place, but
Yeah,
there
very
they
true.
were, and they had a
Yep,
chance.
they sure did. And another thing to talk about, you talk about protecting Goff. Their all-pro center, Frank Ragnow, was playing on a sprained knee and a sprained ankle. So that'll be
Yeah.
something to watch coming up this week against one of the best defensive lines in the league.
Oh yeah, especially those nose tackles, those defensive tackles that line up on the center. Oh, they're
Hmm.
amazing. They're gonna give Frank Ragnow. We're gonna find out how good that knee really is this next game.
They're gonna test it for sure. And we're talking a 49ers team that likes to create turnovers. You can't be the team to turn the ball over against them and make mistakes against them because they will take advantage. And they've done that to Jared Goff in the past, but this is a
Yeah,
different Jared Goff, it looks like. This is the most efficient season he's had since 2018 when he went to the Super Bowl with the Rams.
yeah,
But, this is a big test for him, showing if he's a real deal, him and the rest of the Lions, because people have disrespected them all year, saying they're not quite in the highest tier level. They're right underneath it. They put them underneath the Cowboys, underneath the Ravens and the Niners, and here they are in the Final Four. So this is a big chance for them to prove themselves.
yes. It'll be a good game, I think, as long as the Lions play mistake free. They can give them a run for their money.
They sure
Thing
can.
is, they got to run against them. You got to be able to run the ball.
Yep. And speaking of running the ball, one of the best running teams in the league, we got the Baltimore Ravens who took out the Houston Texans, made pretty easy work of them. Got a big lead
Yeah,
once the second half started because it was a tie game at halftime, but once the Ravens got rolling, they were just virtually unstoppable when Lamar Jackson gets rolling like that. And their defense got some energy going, and they look really hard to beat right now. I don't know, even Pat Mahomes can go in there and do it, but let's talk Texans Ravens.
wow. Lamar Jackson. He went into that game but 1-3 in his career in the playoffs. Now he's 2-3, and he's made it to the finals again. Let's see if he can finish it off. They ran for 236 yards. That's crazy against Houston's defense. And Lamar was one of the, I think he was set the record for the only quarterback to have 100 yards rushing and 100 quarterback rating at the same in the same game. He had a heck of a game. And when he gets running, watch out, because then it
Yeah,
makes him two dimensional. If he stays in the pocket, he's not near as as unbeatable as if you let him run. Oh my lord, you're asking for trouble.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
you get that guy going. He's hard to tackle. There's one play where he got out of the pocket and he's running about 10 yards downfield and he just stopped on a dime and the
yeah,
linebacker went flying by him. But man, he's so exciting to watch, and there's a reason he's the gonna be the MVP of this year.
that's if he can be MVP of the NFC or the AFC Championship. That's what
Yeah,
he wants
because
more than anything. He doesn't care about that most valuable player for the league. He's looking at that most valuable player in the finals and then in the Super Bowl. That's what he's looking for. They made such easy work out of the Texans. I mean, the Texans hung in because of a punt return. And then after that, it was 10-10. But come out the second half. He said
yeah,
Jackson had quite the halftime speech. A
yeah.
little
Well,
elated, but he got his point across, obviously.
yeah, he must have. But the youth of this Texans team really just showed this last
Yeah.
week. You see all the penalties that they created. It was very much a
Ele-
display of
11
their youth.
penalties. That's crazy. 11 penalties. Can't do that. Not against a good team, especially
Not
the
against
Ravens.
Yeah, not against a good team, especially in the playoffs. You can't be doing that because those will come back to haunt you. It kills all momentum. And their youth really showed this last week. Obviously, they're going to be a team that's going to be contending for years with CJ Stroud, but they just show that they're not ready to take that next step quite yet. Speaking of
Yeah.
not being able to take that next step, Josh
Oh
Allen
my
losing for the third time to Pat Mahomes in the playoffs just seems to be the
God.
same story every year. Not being
That
able to
was
get it done, heartbreak after heartbreak.
that was crazy. He threw it like 39 to 40 sometimes, and he only threw it for 189 yards. He averaged 4.8 yards per pass. That's just going around just beyond the linebackers. And he was their leading rusher with 72 yards. He was leading rusher, but they actually got 189 yards rushing from their whole team and
Yeah,
still couldn't get it done.
well, that's what we've talked about with the Bills is their new offense that they run is getting James Cook involved, running that ball. Letting Josh
Yeah,
Allen run it more as well. But one thing that's not going to get mentioned enough is those two deep balls he put right on the money to his receivers that went right through their hands. That makes a huge difference as far as like the pass
yeah.
yardage, but also the overall makeup of the game. If they make those plays come down with them, they get more points on the board. They only lost by 3. They get one of those that
No,
turns into a touchdown. They win that game.
and I went into that game thinking it was going to be a field goal game. That whoever won was going to win by a field goal, and you just can't get past the Chiefs. I feel for Josh Allen. Huh? He can't get by him and Jeff Burrow or Joe Burrow. They got to do something. That team's got to do
Yeah,
something. They got to change something. And it's not all
and
on Josh Allen, although everybody's putting it on him.
well, you feel for Bills fans too everywhere because this really felt like this is going to be the year to do it. I mean, every year they've dealt with heartbreak. It's been in Kansas City, and so this is a one
Yep.
year they've all been asking for it. Get a game in Buffalo, and it really felt like it's going to be different this year. And then Kansas City just goes in there and rips their hearts out once again. I mean, that was tough to watch. I honestly thought this was going to be the year. The only quarterbacks to beat Patrick Mahomes in the playoffs so far have been just Tom Brady and Joe Burrow. And obviously Brady retired, Burrow out for this year. It
And then
makes it real
Mahomes, of
interesting to
course.
see.
Mahomes,
No,
of
that's what I'm
course.
saying. Who has beat Mahomes?
Besides,
Yeah.
yeah. Yeah, and Mahomes, he only threw the ball 23 times. Still had 219 yards. He averaged like 9.8 yards a pass. So he didn't throw it very much, but when he did, he got yardage out of it. And of course, Kelsey, is his top receiver. But he
Hmm.
completed like 19 out of 23. That's why
Yeah,
he
very
got the
efficient.
yardage out of him.
And they broke the record for most touchdowns for a quarterback receiver duo, which broke the record held by Brady and Gronk. So that just
Yeah,
shows, how
yeah,
good they
that's
are and how many years they got left. So
I know. And Brady and Gronk were together for a lot longer, and these guys have been together so far. Yep.
yeah, but there's also been a lot of injuries Gronk's had late in the playoffs, and a lot of
Yeah.
games he's missed. but Kelsey and Mahomes still one of the greatest duos ever, no doubt
Uh,
about it.
no doubt about
But
it, man.
yeah,
When you
so
play Mahomes, you got to take away Kelsey, but that's easier said than done. Take away Kelsey, man, because they just know each other so well.
yeah,
I mean,
their chemistry is unbelievable. Who you got punching their tickets to Vegas?
in the AFC, you got to go Baltimore. I think. I mean, until they get beat, you got to go Baltimore up, but don't count the Chiefs out. I mean,
Yeah,
they're gonna make a game out of it. It's not gonna be a cakewalk by any stretch of the imagination. So I look for be a one touchdown game, and I think Baltimore will take it. They're just too good, both
yeah,
sides of the ball. Maybe it's Lamar Jackson's time.
yeah. Maybe it is. And
Maybe.
either way, it's shaping up to be a really good quarterback matchup with Lamar Jackson versus Pat Mahomes. And after last week, I really was questioning it because I was counting out Pat Mahomes for the first time in a long time, and here he goes again. Going into Buffalo, getting
No.
snowballs thrown at him, and he's still pulling out the W. So I mean, I wouldn't count him out of this one either. I do think it's going to be very close. I also got Ravens. I think this defense is just too good, and I don't think Pat Mahomes got the overall weapons that he's had in years past to really get there. I mean, Rashay Rice has really, you know, come on these last few weeks, this whole playoffs, but I think Baltimore is just going to prove to be too much for them.
Yeah, they're gonna have to. Chiefs are gonna have to run the ball, be able to run the ball, keep Jackson off the field. That's their only chance. That's what usually people usually do to beat the Chiefs is run and keep uh, Mahomes off the field. But I have to turn it around this time. But it's going to be tough because Baltimore, man, they can run that ball. They might keep the Chiefs off the field. That's probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, it's gonna be a fun one to see there in Baltimore for sure. We got Detroit and San Francisco as well. You think Jared
Ooh,
Goff gets over the hump against San Francisco?
he's got to play a clean game. The whole team's got to play a clean game. They're going to give up their yards to Purdy because that's what they do. Their
Hmm.
defensive backs give up a lot of yards, but they can stop the run. They're one of the better run stopping teams. And if they can do that and make Purdy one dimensional, 49ers one dimensional, and they hit him, they got a chance. I mean, it's going to be tough though.
Yeah.
What do
Do
you
you got
think?
them pulling out the W? Yeah.
My heart says Lions. My head says 49ers. But I want a
No,
good game. I'd like to see a really good game, and I would love nothing better than to see Jared Goff beat the Niners and go to the Super Bowl where Detroit has never gone before.
yeah,
Last time
that
they
would be
won two playoff games in the same season was like 1952. Last time.
yeah.
So
They haven't had hardly any success since the Super Bowl era, but that's why I thought it'd be really cool to see a Bills Lions Super Bowl.
the Bills have been to so many Super Bowls, they just couldn't win them.
Yep,
And it
wide
was a
right. That's what they're saying is the
wide
curse
right.
words.
Yep. And it happened again.
Man,
Wide right. It's their
yeah,
curse. The
I think
curse.
so.
They
Yeah.
could have beat the
You know,
Giants back in the day. Their first of their four straight times going to the Super Bowl. And maybe things would have been different in history, but
yeah,
now they can't even get there.
yeah. It'll be interesting to see if there's any changes made this offseason to see what they can do to get over the hump. Because obviously they're getting very close every year, but just can't completely get there. But
No.
no, I'm gonna have to agree with you on this Niners Lions game though. I do see it. My heart tells me Lions, but my mind's telling me Niners. Just how complete of a football team they are and the way their style of play. I think it matches up very well against the Lions and the way they're gonna put pressure on Goff. I just think it's gonna prove to be too much for the Lions, but
Yeah, if they can
who
protect
knows?
Goff, if they can protect him, they got a
Yeah, and
chance.
Detroit just keeps shocking everybody though. I wouldn't mind
Yeah.
seeing them shocking everybody some more and punching a
But
ticket to the Super
they
Bowl.
won with one score games and 49ers are used to just pummeling guys. pummeling teams.
Mhm.
But they didn't do it against the young Green Bay, their young
Yeah,
quarterback. So,
barely squeaked one out.
hey, saying there's a chance.
So you're saying there's a chance.
Anything is possible.
That's right. That's right. Now it's gonna make for some very interesting matchups this coming week. I'm excited. Can't wait for
Oh,
that one.
yeah.
The conspiracy the last 4 years with the Super Bowl logo that is put out
Yeah.
at the start of every year. I mean, it started with the yellow and orange colors a few years ago, and ended up being
Rams.
Rams and Bengals. And
Yeah.
then last year, the colors of the logo were red and green, and it turned out to be Chiefs Eagles. This year,
Yeah.
it is red and purple, which could be Niners and Ravens.
Yeah. What a conspiracy, man.
Well, we're gonna find out for sure. We'll be back next week.